Instead of reopening, they're dealing with this.
And dealing with, I mean, more loss. They to hear and to think about just not even just the owners who have all this merchandise, the employees who were so looking forward to getting their paychecks reinstated so they can go back to work and not be so stressed to make their monthly bills.
Hi.
Again, this is.
How's it going? My name is Humberto Castañeda, and it's Pastor Berto time. I'm watching protests. Many of us are watching protests. I'm not protesting. I wish I was protesting. There are reasons why I can't. But, you know, I have some thoughts. I had some thoughts I wanted to share. You look at this stuff.
Is definitely slowing down a lot of the recovery efforts. And
you know, and you see the looting.
We don't know what tomorrow looks like for these businesses.
You see the fires.
You just said this weekend was the big reopening. The only thing.
I know that many people, you know, naturally the sentiment is, well, you know, what happened is a horrible tragedy, but you know, people shouldn't be looting. They shouldn't be setting fires. They shouldn't be destroying property, especially not their own community's property. And I get it, you know. The problem, as I see it, though, is that this is kind of like yelling at a hurricane. You know, just standing there in front of a storm, a tornado or something. You shouldn't be doing this. These are innocent farms, innocent farmers, innocent animals. Don't destroy this. You are better than this. And unfortunately, that's not how the universe works. And it's sad, it's difficult, but that's the facts. That's the facts. You get some accumulation of pressure, you get some accumulation of winds or of you know, temperature differentials or any number of natural you know, inputs into a system. And then what comes out is somewhat unpredictable and can sometimes be completely violent and devastating to our human way of life. And that's what's happening here. This isn't an isolated incident. We know this. There are opportunistic folks involved in all of these cases? Of course there are. But these riots don't happen on a daily basis. They don't happen in every neighborhood. They don't happen, you know, based on every bit of news that we see, you know. This is an effect. This is a symptom, a tertiary symptom of deep underlying problems. Now we can sit here and condemn and say that shouldn't happen. So sure. And should the cops try to stop the looting? Absolutely. And it's only hurting their own communities. It's true. Here's some sirens. But the thing is, we can't act surprised and like, what? How's this happening? And also, it's not going to get solved. Meaning not just this, the recurrence of these kinds of things is not going to get solved just by like waving a finger. You're threatening my livelihood. I live in a nice neighborhood with a nice house and I shop at stores and this kind of disorder threatens me. Well, sorry. So there are underlying symptoms and causes here. So I grew up in another country. I grew up in Colombia. And I saw firsthand how, you know, the imbalance of power, imbalance of wealth can cause some pretty disruptive and disturbing clashes of forces. You know, for decades and decades, fights between the guerrillas and the military and then the drug runners and stuff like this. And it's a really complex system. But some of it is not unpredictable. Some of it is quite predictable just based on humans. Is that you have a set of humans that's a minority doing really well for themselves. And then you have a majority of humans not doing well at all. Now, the more that there is some wiggle room, the more you can get away with it, meaning that the subset, the small minority, can get away with it. But there's always a breaking point. And then you push people, and you push them past the point, and things blow up. It's like a volcano. It's not pretty, the consequences are often disastrous. Sometimes it's worse, but it's just like, again, yelling at a volcano, yelling at a hurricane. Don't blow up. We don't want your lava. First of all, don't live near the volcano in that case. But in our situation, it's not even about like a force of nature that we couldn't predict. Like, this actually is predictable. This is predictable. It could be preventable. It could be. We don't have to not train officers or not discipline them properly or not follow up with investigations or not put officers in jail and not really have a community conversation. We don't have to have dog whistles by politicians and people in charge left and right all the time. This doesn't have to happen. You can't control everyone's actions. There's still going to be people out there that are racist. Some of them are going to be cops. Some of them are going to go too far. That's going to happen in every system, no matter what. But it's the quantity, the frequency, the insidious nature of this that has got people, and you're piling it on a disenfranchisement already. This isn't just like their only problem. They're meaning these communities' only problem. And by the way, even though the victims here in this case are African American, this isn't just about black and white. It is poor and rich. It is people with little option and people with all the option. People that can travel when things get tough, even during COVID, right? Like people that have the ability to, like, I'm just gonna be in my house and be okay. Like, look, I'm a fortunate individual. I live in a comfortable area and I can sequester myself in my home if things get rough to a certain extent. But I did grow up in a different environment, and I know that by the way, and I actually grew up in what I'd call lower middle class when I was growing up in Bogota. So I still was way better off than the majority of people. And yet things weren't so rosy, we weren't even exactly living paycheck to paycheck. It was like we were living behind constantly. There was no money for stuff. The house was dilapidated and falling apart. But my point is that even in that environment, I felt like, well, there are things that I don't want to lose. But there are people that start feeling like they have nothing left to lose. And in that situation, logic and reason, like, you shouldn't do this. Like, that's not going to work. You've pushed them too far. Too far. And you're stupid, not you, the listener, you, the system. Look, you could almost have your cake and eat it too. Almost. You want to have riches and wealth and be able to live in your comfy mansions, and fine. Fine. But you just don't have to stomp on people's necks at the same time. Like, it's the greed. It's the egregious greed that pushes you over the edge, pushes society over the edge. Like, take your win. Go enjoy it. Don't rub it into nature's face and into people's faces and smother them. Like, stop it. Damn it. So yeah, I'm hoping this ends, the protest, but this is not the end. What are the solutions? Let's hear the solutions. Who's leading right now? Get up on a microphone. Tell us what is going to be done systemically. Use words with 2 syllables to explain it to us. Okay. Those of us in the periphery, let's just do what we can to support the grieving families and communities, and reach out our arms to our brothers and sisters that feel directly oppressed and threatened. And then, of course, put out a word like, look, don't destroy your communities. We feel your pain. I know it's not going to help much, but it's not going to help much. So, anyways, it's a tough topic tonight, but that's all I wanted to say.